Boker Tov, good morning. Welcome to this lovely Monday morning. It's wonderful to be here with you together as we continue into these days in between Pesach and Shavuot, these days of journeying, these days where we have the opportunity, now having seen some sense of renewal, to work hard to build the kind of renewed world we believe should exist. So much easier said than done. And good morning, Deborah. It's wonderful to be here with each of you. Good morning, Annette. And I appreciate your taking the time to be here and to share greetings with one another. As we say to one and to all, Boker Tov, Boker all. Welcome to Boker Tov from Temple Sinai. Good morning, Anne. Welcome to this opportunity to connect, to reflect, and to remember. I'm Rabbi Michael Dolgan, and it's a pleasure to be here with you this morning as we encounter this first Monday post-Pesach and take the time now that we are eating leavened products again, if it was something that you stopped, to really just appreciate everything we have. And so let's start with the wonder of being able to make choices about what we eat and see that our body can get through that, and hope that today is a good day physically for each of us. Please join me. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher yatzar et ha'adam bechokma, uברא בו נקבים נקבים, חלולים חלולים, גלוי וידוע לפני כיסא כבודך, שאם יפתח אחד מהם, או יסתם אחד מהם, אי אפשר להתקיים ולעמוד לפניך. ברוך אתה אדוני, רופא כל בשר ומפליא לעשות. Blessed eternal God, creator of the universe, you have fashioned our bodies with wisdom, creating within us a finely balanced network. To stand before you in prayer is itself a fragile miracle. Eternal God, we praise you as the healer of body and spirit. And let's continue with a prayer for the soul, recognizing that we are so much more than our physical selves. The soul that you have given me, O God, is a pure one. You have created and formed it, breathed it into me, and within me you sustain it. So long as my soul is within me, I will give thanks to you, eternal my God and God of my ancestors, source of all creation, sovereign of all souls. We praise you, eternal God, in whose hand is the power of all life and the spirit of all flesh. And let's continue. La'asok b'divrei Torah. This is a Monday. It is a Torah day. And we will look at some words from Parashat Shmini, from our Torah portion this week. And so in advance of that moment, let's reaffirm our gratitude for and commitment to Jewish learning. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kidshanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu la'asok b'divrei Torah. וערב נא אדוני אלוהינו את דברי תורתך בפינו ובפי עמך בית ישראל, ונהיה אנחנו וצאצאינו וצאצאי עמך בית ישראל, כולנו יודעי שמך ולומדי תורתך לשמה. ברוך אתה אדוני, המלמד תורה לעמו ישראל. And now we join in a text place here just so that we can begin our day by learning. Elu dvarim shein lahem shi'ur. These are the obligations whose value cannot be measured. They nourish us in this world and help us to create the world to come. Kibud av va'em, to honor fathers and mothers. Ugmilut chasadim, to perform acts of love and kindness. Vashkamat bet midrash shacharit v'yarvit, to attend the house of study morning and evening. V'achnasat ochim, to welcome the stranger. Uviku cholim, to visit the sick. V'achnasat kala, to provide for brides and grooms. Ulvayat hamed, to keep faith with the dead. V'iyun tefillah, to pray with sincerity. V'hava'at shalom ben adam lachavero, to make peace when there is strife. V'tamud Torah keneged kulam, and the study of Torah is equal to them all. Well, I hope that reciting the prayer for being created as someone with free will, with a significant amount of freedom, was meaningful during this holiday of freedom, during Pesach. And now as we make our journey from Pesach to Shavuot, we'll begin our service today with Baruch She'amar, that speaks of the power of words to create our world, and to Psalm 121, our prayer for journeys. Baruch She'amar v'haya ha'olam. Blessed is the one who speaks, that we might listen. Blessed is the one who acts, that we might be witnesses. Baruch hu u'baruch shemo. Blessed is the one who decides, that we might accept. Blessed is the one who has mercy, that we might live. Baruch She'amar v'haya ha'olam. Blessed is the one who removes the darkness, that we might see. Blessed is the one who lives forever, that we might believe. Blessed is the one who saves and delivers, that we might be redeemed. We continue with Shir Lema'alot es Einai el Heharim. I will look only upward, past the mountains, for my help comes from the one beyond. My help comes from the eternal, maker of heaven and earth. Ever alert, your guardian will never allow your foot to stumble. The guardian of Israel never rests, never sleeps. The eternal will watch over you as a shadow cast by your right hand. You will not be overcome by the sun nor abandoned by the moon. The eternal will guard you from all evil, watching over you. The eternal will guard you as you set out and as you return from this very moment until the end of time. So let's pause for a moment as we prepare to recite the Shema together, and just make sure that we feel ready to do so. A moment to appreciate unity. A moment to consider that we are not alone, that not only is God with us, but through the divine, our people is connected, and we're connected to all people who share the core human values that make us one. Please join me in Shema Yisrael. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad, Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto Leolam Va'ed. Ve'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha bechol levavecha ubechol nafshecha ubechol meodecha. Vayu advarim ha'ele asher anochi metzavcha hayom al levavecha. V'shinantam levanecha v'dibarta bam. V'shivtecha b'vetecha uvelechtecha v'derech uv'shochbecha uv'kumecha. V'kshartam la'ot al yadecha. Vayu letotafot ben enecha. Uchtabtam al mezuzot betecha uv'isharecha. Vayomer Adonai el Moshe lemor, daber el bnei Yisrael ve'amarta aleim, ve'asu lahem tzitzit al kanfei vigdeihem ledorotam. V'natnu al tzitzit akanaf betil techelet, v'haya lachem letzitzit, uritem oto. Uzchartem et kol mitzvot Adonai, va'asitem otam, ve'lo tatu achrei levavchem, ve'achrei einechem. Asher atem zonim acharehem, lema'an tizkaru v'asitem et kol mitzvotai, v'yitem kedoshim leloechem. Ani Adonai Elohechem, asher hotzeti etchem me'eretz Mitzrayim, liot lachem leloim. Ani Adonai Elohechem. Adonai Elohechem, Emet. Well, we find ourselves now in the book of Leviticus, the first major part of the book of Leviticus that made up the last 2 weeks' parashiyot, and the beginning of this one are very much all about the sacrifices, the sacrificial cult, that which was done, and about the very detailed and strict rules around this event that was Kodesh, that was holy, meaning that it functioned outside of the rules of ordinary life. And we find a very painful example of that in this week's parasha. that is one of the most difficult passages in Torah, the beginning of chapter 10, but I want to share the two last verses that talk about the sacrifices leading up to it before we see this painful and real experience of the death of Aaron's sons. It says in beginning verse 23, Moses and Aaron then went inside the tent of meeting. When they came out, they blessed the people, and Kvod Adonai, the presence of God, appeared to all the people. And fire came forth from the presence of the Eternal, from before the Eternal, and consumed the burnt offering and the fat parts on the altar. And all the people saw and shouted and fell on their faces. So initially, it seems that divine fire is required in this early stage of sacrifices. Now, the word now is not there, but is an understanding from the tense of the verb. Now Aaron's sons, Nadav and Abihu, each took his fire pan, put fire in it, and laid incense upon it. And they offered before the Eternal Esh Zara, foreign fire, alien fire, which had not been commanded them. And fire came forth from the Eternal and consumed them, and they died in the presence of the Eternal. And then Moses said to Aaron, "This is what the Eternal meant by saying, through those near to me I show myself to be holy. At Kaddish, I will become holy and gain glory. At Kaved, before all the people." And Aaron was silent. Well, of course, Aaron was silent. What could he possibly have said that would have made sense, let alone relating to his brother trying to put some meaningful spin on the ultimate loss of his sons dying? Certainly, Moses' words echo what came before in the Torah, that Moses says that this must be what God said, "Be krovai ekadesh," by those near to me, I will be kodesh, and I will be ekaved, I will be present, because we had those exact same words in verse 23, in that kvod Adonai, the holiness of God, the presence of God, appeared to the people. Does that make Moses' response a meaningful one? No, I think it makes Aaron's response a meaningful one, that he was silent in the face of ultimate loss. Silence is a beginning, although in no way there is no adequate response to a loss of this kind, especially because the way the text tells it, Aaron's sons, Nadav and Abihu, did do something that had not been commanded of them. They did, in fact, offer something, the word zara, azar, someone who's strange, or something who's strange, is not allowed anywhere near the sacrificial service, the altar. And so their own choice and the connection to something that did not come directly from the area of the holy seems tied to this painful and awful event, although it's not as if that justifies what happens. It does sound very much like a punishment, like an extreme and horrific punishment for this choice. So many other sinful choices are made by Aaron, by Moses, by many others, and yet this is not the result. I think this awful passage, important and awful passage, echoes many awful and painful moments in life where there are hints that lead us to sometimes try to explain or seek to understand these moments, but they go so far beyond our control, understanding or explanation. They are just painful and real, and it's left to us to not always try to control and understand, but to be silent and try with the support of loving community to absorb what has happened. Um, and as whether it is something personal that we try to absorb or something that affects our whole people as the larger experience in the world that continues. It is so difficult to absorb, to actually try to make some kind of to include in our life going forward in a way that allows us, as we said with the sacrifices here, those are moments that are outside of normality. And we have rituals, including morning rituals, that are intended to help us re-enter a sense of the normal. Something that's been difficult, I think, for many of us, certainly difficult for me during this time as events continue to take place around us that we should not have to call normal. So much more to say. I want to speak further about the continuation of this passage on Thursday. But now, speaking of that which is not normal itself, I want to continue by sharing the prayer for our soldiers that for the first time since the end of the ceasefire, I'll be forced today to read the name of an IDF soldier whose life had been lost in Gaza. That, of course, doesn't mean that people have not been wounded. And that because we don't have a name to say, it does not end the violence. Certainly, we can hope and pray and work for the end to the tribulations of the hostages and their families, the end to this war, and as this prayer expresses in a hopeful way a time that doesn't lead to the next war. מי שברך אבותינו אברהם יצחק ויעקב אמותינו שרה רבקה לאה ורחל הוא יברך את חיילי צבא ההגנה לישראל ושאר מגיני עמנו העומדים על משמרתם. ישמרם הקדוש ברוך הוא ויצילם מכל צרה וצוקה ומכל נגע ומחלה, וישלח ברכה בכל מעשה ידיהם, ויקוים בהם הכתוב, וכיתתו חרבותיהם לעתים, וחניתותיהם למזמרות, לא יישאו גוי אל גוי חרב, ולא ימדון עוד מלחמה, וישבו איש תחת כפנו, ותחת תאנתו, ואין מחריד ונאמר, Amen. May the one who blessed our ancestors bless the soldiers of the IDF and all who stand in guard for us. May the Holy One guard them against all difficulty and distress, injury and illness. May all of their actions bring blessing, fulfilling the prophet's words. Let them beat their swords into plowshares and their spears into pruning hooks. Let nation not lift up sword against nation, and may they learn war no more. May all sit under a vine or fig tree, with none to make them afraid. And together we say, Amen. Let's continue with our prayers for those in need of strength and healing. And so now as we turn to this prayer, we continue with bringing to mind those in our family, in our community, in our circle of friends in need of strength and healing. And of course, at this time, we also bring to mind not only those here who are isolated by age or infirmity, but those who have been painfully, forcibly, criminally isolated by terrorist Hamas and their allies during this time of ongoing crimes against humanity by Hamas each and every day that they hold the hostages and that they create the circumstances for the war and all its losses. And so for those in our community, for those names given to me and given to others, For those names placed in the chat and this and other services, we turn to these words of refuah. Mi sheberach avotenu Avraham, Yitzchak v'Yaakov imotenu Sarah Rivka Leah v'Rachel hu yirapeh et kol makotenu. Yhi ratzon milfanecha Adonai Eloheinu lachal imam l'rapotam v'yishlach lanu mehera refuah shlema v'ateret shalom v'nomar Amen. May the one who blessed our ancestors bless and heal all who suffer. May it be the divine will to provide healing and strength. Reveal to us the holiness of life, the wholeness of shalom, and together we say, Amen. Well, it's very meaningful to have this time to connect and to reflect. And now we take the time to remember, recalling those who died in recent days and weeks, those who died at this season in years past, and those whom we have taken into our hearts with our own. And so now that this is the end of Pesach, we acknowledge losses that have happened in the last 30 days, even though the technical period of Shloshim, of mourning rituals, is cut off by the end of the holiday, according to tradition. And yet we continue to read the names, understanding that emotion cannot be governed by strict rules. We extend our condolences to the families in recent days and weeks of Valerie Fox, Gary Brown, Hagit Hovav, Nora Boyd, and it is our sad duty to report the death of our member Irving Feldman, husband of Marcia. Our condolences to the entire family. The funeral will take place today at noon from Benjamin's. Additional information is available on the Benjamin's Park Memorial website. We also remember all victims of war and terror, including terror victim Moshe Musa Hovan and victim of the war, Warrant Officer Galeb Sliman al-Nassasra. And on Yahrzeit this day, on the anniversary of their deaths, on this 23rd day of Nisan, the 21st of April, 2025, we honor the life and legacy on Yahrzeit of Helen Kleiner, David Lowton, Morris Nassina, Samuel Paisley, Sylvia Silver, Lillian Silverberg, Max Siskind. Zichronam Livracha. May their memories be a blessing to us. Our griefs and sympathies are mingled, as together we turn to words sanctified by memory, words glorified by hope, the words of Kaddish Yatom. Yitgadal v'yitkadash shemeh rabba, ve'alma divra chiruteh ve'amlich malchuteh, v'chayechon v'yamechon, v'chaye dechol beit Yisrael, b'agala u'bizman karev v'imru, Amen. Yeheh shmeh rabba mevarach le'alam u'lalmei almaya. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitomam v'yitnaseh. V'yitadar v'yit'aleh v'yithalal shemeh dekudshah b'rechu. Le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata, tushbechata v'nechemata, damiran v'alma v'imru. Amen. Yeheh shlama rabba min shmaya v'chaim, aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru. Amen. Oseh shalom b'momav, hu yaseh shalom, aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru. Amen. May the source of peace send peace to all who mourn and bring comfort and strength to all who remember. And together we say, Amen. Well, Temple is grateful that a contribution has been made today to our Youth Travel Fund by Joni Shiner and Bev Siskind, observing Yahrzeit for Max Siskind. And I hope that today can be a good and meaningful day for each of us and for all of us. Looking forward to being with you here again tomorrow on Boker Tov. Boker